break, Dr. Sonia Nixon. It's so good to have her back, and she's all dressed up in pink. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Pretty in pink. And it's always so good to have Dr. Nixon with us. Of course, October, you've heard us spoken about it. It's a very busy month, active month, very important month. So many things are happening, so many things are recognized, a lot of awareness and all of that. And of course, this evening we're looking at cancer risks and screening. There's also cancer walk coming up, and a little later on in the program we will be joined by Mr. Ali Dowden of the Cancer Society, and he'll be telling us a little bit more about that and a little bit about the work that the Cancer Society is involved in. Of course, we know the importance of that. It's an area that we've spoken about time and time again, and we are going to continue to speak about it because of its importance. All right, and because it is so necessary that you have all the information you can possibly get to help reduce the risk of getting cancer. All right, so it is a pleasure to welcome back Dr. Nixon. Doc, good evening and welcome back.
Well, good evening. It's always good to be here for the people of Grenada. Good evening, everyone. Our lives were kind of set apart by cricket, but we're back together after.
Yes.
Did we win?
Indeed.
We won? I'm a cricket fan now. I'm a West Indian.
It was a CPL. It was a CPL.
So Grenada win?
No, Grenada don't have a CPL team. I mean, we have people like what's our guy's name? Fletcher, yes, he did pretty well. So yeah, I think it was quite good. A lot of excitement. It does create a lot of excitement. So yes, it was.
So I'm a West Indian fan.
Yeah.
Win, lose or draw. Okay, I'm like Tanti Moral.
Okay,
you can
sure.
play. I listen. I support. We win, we lose. I got your back, guys.
We're supporting.
Yeah, but no, that's all important because I think sports and activity, even sitting and watching sports. A sport like cricket that you can sit for 4 or 5 days and watch creates a space of peace and relaxation and fun and interaction with other people. That is very important for maintaining our health. Some of us tend to forget, cricket boring, cricket ain't boring. Okay, some people go to cricket who love cricket and don't see one ball drop, but they have fun.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's important that that's one of the things that we really take into consideration for well-being. Because tonight I kind of want to look at us just being well in general. We're going to talk about cancer. I'm probably going to talk about the same old thing, but I want us to take a kind of different look at it from behind the door, because let's just imagine that this is not. Well, first of all of us who listen to this, most of us who listen to these programs where we talk about whatever illness, sometimes you cannot disembody it. You cannot make it look like cancer a thing. But remember that's some people's reality. Okay? And I don't know all of us glad when it's not us because it seems scary. Cancer is a scary disease. Everybody thinks they're going to die from cancer. So what most agencies do, like the Cancer Society and the ministry and other people, is really try to focus on ways how we can prevent ourselves from getting the illnesses. We're going to talk about what it is, but I want us to kind of focus. I want us to first consider a world over there that they talk about cancer. We in this nice, pure, clean space, right? And then we have this place called Grenada. And in this Grenada, where we have 110,000 people on a day like today when it's nice and sunny, okay, we know that of the 1,000 people that might die this year, 100 of them are very likely to die from some form of cancer. What is this cancer thing? This cancer thing is a phenomenon, a thing, okay, where in your body, right, some of your cells, those little units of your body, so you have eye cells for your eyes and tongue cells for your tongue and muscle cells for your muscles and heart cells for your heart, kidney cells for kidneys, liver, and so on, right? Some of those cells are going to start to multiply. Because when you're born a finite amount of cells. Mm-hmm. Probably only the liver really regenerates itself and up to, so if you cut a piece of liver, it might grow back, but it wouldn't. There's a time when that inborn mechanism, that thing, that intelligence that it has within itself says stop. Okay, you're finished now. Okay? most other, when we see lizards grow back their tails, you ever chop off lizard tail?
Yep.
Okay, all children do just to see it grow back. And we figure out which lizard it was and watch and see how long before it goes back. That doesn't happen with us. If I get my leg amputated, it's not going to come back. If I had to remove one of my lungs, it's not going to come back. Or my kidney, or my uterus. Okay? Something that's not totally essential for life. Well, you won't remove it if it's essential. Okay? But if I had to remove an organ, an eye, I don't expect my eye to grow back. That's, well, not yet. Technology is not there yet. They claim we're going there. But let's say today, October 18, 2022, that's not going to happen. Okay?
Right.
So these people in Grenada know that at some point in a group of us, a certain group, different groups have different reasons why that will happen in one organ or the other. Okay? Some set of cells will start to grow crazy, and they just grow and they grow. And those cells are very greedy. In other words, in the Grenadian parlance, they're licorice. They want all the food that's there, so they consume, they grow and they consume and they consume and they eat everything, and they make you get, you get very ill. They grow into other tissues because they want their food too. So that thing that starts on your tongue grows so fast it takes over the throat muscles, goes up into your brain, takes over your brain because it wants its food, and it just spreads everywhere. Like if you throw water in sand, it just seeps into everything. And eventually, if you attack or affect one organ, its functions are going to be different, right? So you have these people in Grenada, and all of us sitting on this country and watching what's going on in Grenada, because we all well, okay? But the truth is, in truth and in fact, maybe we too are prone to these things. Maybe we too might have challenges in our breast, or testicles, or a prostate, right? Or the muscles or bones or somewhere, and this cancer thing may come up. So I want us to look tonight at what is this thing, who gets affected, why would I get affected and not you? Why would I have breast cancer and not you? When is it likely to happen for me, right? Which part of my body might be affected? How do I prevent it? What do I do? Okay, so look like if we're all well, because I want us to consider this. When we learn this, we understand why we have to be compassionate to the people who are already surviving, people who will be diagnosed, who are newly diagnosed, and the people who are at the end of their life as a result of these disorders. So we have to learn the compassion and learn how to protect ourselves, because what we know, what the science is showing us, what the evidence is showing us, right? What we've gone and researched, right? And we're not doing like how we went with COVID and we're all fighting like all of us are scientists. The truth is, we know that there are certain behaviors, if we practice them, certain things, if we do on time, we are not going to die. It's not that you may not get the cancer, but if you are there early enough looking for it, you're likely to find it. Okay, it's called screening. Move the blind and look and make sure it's not there. If it's there, you cut it off early. Just like farmers go and they pull up weeds and vines that are going to choke their plants. In the same way, we're going to look inside, look at our bodies, change our behaviors to prevent the growth of the weeds, to prevent the weed taking over our body and choking out whichever organ is so important for our well-being and eventually ending our lives. Okay? And there are different modalities, and if you do find different things that you can do, different interventions. You might have surgery, might need what we call chemotherapy, which is really medicine. When the doctor gives you antibiotics for our cold, that is chemotherapy. It's a chemical used to treat. Okay? So those are chemotherapeutic agents, and that might be by your bolt or in your vein, right? Or you might have to get radiation where they put some but almost like burn it. I don't have a simpler word to put it. And burn the area. And they have different forms of surgery. You might get microknife surgeries, all these high-level surgeries. But let us all think that we're in that place of safety so far and see how we're going to preserve ourselves in that place of safety and understand at the same time what is happening to the people in Grenada who have had the cancer. Because this is breast cancer awareness, we're going to kind of focus on breast cancer awareness, on breast cancer, simply because we know, right, who is likely to get breast cancer. And sometimes the people who are likely don't get it. and sometimes people unlikely do get it.
Yes.
Right? But we also know that if we keep looking, the day it raises its head, and I tell everybody, if you keep looking all the time, every day we're going to in the sink, we got to be the moment we wash our face. Hey, will this bum come out?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't there yesterday. Or it wasn't there last night when I went to bed. Or what is this? You understand? How can I keep it down? And if I know, for example, that when I go out in the dust and I don't wash my face or don't take my makeup before I go out at night, a bump is going to come, I'm going to wash my face, wouldn't I? Right?
Indeed,
and if I know that, I don't know, Clarasil, if I put on it, we'll put on the bump, I go into my medicine cabinet, put a thing on it, whatever they use, and the bump goes down, you know. So we go educating ourselves, and that is what we want the population to do. To be seeking information. Because guess what? You know my favorite instrument?
Yeah, it's there.
Google it.
It's there.
Google it is there. Like I said, you want a TikTok video? Go to TikTok and ask TikTok to tell me something about breast cancer. You want a TikTok? Tell you something about chemotherapy. It's all there. Every information you want that you can imagine is all there. That's how God is. Okay? It's all there. So use your phone, yes, watch all the video and dance and do whatever you want, but make sure that when you pay cable and wireless, how much money you pay at the end of the month for services, that you become a better person every month incrementally. Wow, just made up a word. All right, so today we're going to really look at breast cancer and the other things that happen with breast cancer. You know, one of the things I'd like us to talk about, and hopefully we get an opportunity to talk about it, maybe not tonight, is families. And so if we were married, God knows better than that anyway, but if you and I were married and you and I develop breast cancer, how you cope, how the children manage, right? How my workplace manages. How you cope if I do die, you know? What do you do? What support you need? How you managed offering support to your partner who had cancer, or your sister, or your mother, or your auntie, whoever you live with. I have a friend in the US whose sister has pancreatic cancer, and he's chief caregiver for his sister, and has to change his life, his economic life, right? But it's also helped his own spiritual life and all the rest of it. So we have to see, that is what my dream is, that we can sit as a population and people can explain the challenges they have. Because I can tell you, currently, you know, all of us think we're the next country and Grenada is that place where these people and them have cancer. When in truth and in fact, it affects all of us. What happens when my boss gets cancer? What's happening if I get cancer? What happens to my patients? Okay? What happens to your job where you go out and sell your product? What happens to your radio station when you play all these nice old time calypso every evening? We go dead for lack of cultural expression. But seriously, everybody has a role, and we have to figure out what is happening in those situations where we have people who are ill, and eventually they just get back into their nuclear families, and how do they cope? How do their friends cope? What do their friends do? What do they need? What do their friends need in order to be able to help them more, or in order for they themselves to cope and understand what's happening? So that's a situation, that's a discussion I dream that could happen in Grenada.
Yeah. You know, Doc, I know we're going to focus a bit on breast cancer, but I just wanted to sort of backtrack a little bit because I think it's important. I mean, we know there are many different types of cancers, and they can affect from children right up to the elderly. Of course, with the elderly, the risk can become a little higher. But just briefly, I mean, very quickly, if you can just run through it. We're talking here early childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, midlife, and of course, older adulthood. What are some of the risks, and how can we prevent them throughout that lifespan?
So there's some risks that are not preventable, okay? Like your gender. So once you're a woman, you're already on path for having a possible breast cancer. Right. Once you're a man, you possibly have a prostate cancer. Yes. Once you're at a certain age, you're in a higher risk for certain cancers, right? But there are things like our diet. Okay? We've seen a younger population dying, right? We've also seen a younger population being affected by cancer. So things like your diet. Are we back eating? How we used to eat as children in 1988. I have to hide the age. But seriously, how did we eat as children in the 50s, 40s, 60s? And I want to go 50s, 60s, because I think then our families had to get a little more comfortable, a little more well off. 40s and stuff where people are still quite poor. But let's say 60s and 70s and probably 80s, right? When our relatives started going up to university, started to get secondary school education, got high-paying jobs. But with that came urbanization, and we stopped eat yam that was just green banana was just green fig that was just green fig that just go and you put some donkey manure in there or some sheep manure. After you have the sheep that eat regular grass, you have to sweep up the manure and go throw it in the pig stool, right? And that kind of stuff. So we ate what we call organic foods, where there are not chemicals put into it, right? Where you're active physically. Your mother don't send you outside and play every time she see you walk on the whole sulking. Boy, go and get something to do. Go outside and play. Go and sweep the yard. Go and do something, right? You spend all your summers in the river. You spend your evenings playing cricket. You know, remember that song that Jim Reese come home is supper time? The shadows leave the earth. I can identify with that as a child and my brothers, right? And with parents saying, don't make a shadow disappear before you reach in this house, okay? You still must have some. There must be sunlight, but you go and you play. So physical activity has not been our forte in this last 2 decades, and as it goes, it gets worse because all our children have at least one handheld device. Well, we have school. School is a handheld. School gives you a handheld device thanks to Corona, right? So everybody sits in school for the whole day, right? I remember having to go outside and play going to primary school. I remember going to university and have to do a physical. You had to have a formal physical education class, so you chose a sport, as you could not graduate from medical school. Okay, so our lifestyle have changed, how we eat, right? How the amount of exercise, but we smoke. I see our young people back smoking. That's a risk factor. I see our young people back drinking, especially those girls setting up themselves for breast cancer early, right? So those are the things. So those are some of the changeable things we have. Medications, some women who have to take hormonal replacement therapy, like in the case of some of the exposures, like to sunlight, extreme sunshine. Are you covering yourself? Because, you know, we have a lot, it's hotter. Are you covering yourself to make sure you don't get skin cancer? That's a possibility. And skin cancer can happen in Black people, contrary to what we think. Because the kind of sun I feel out there, I don't know where that sun come from. That's not the sun that was there when I was a little girl. That's the son and the father together. Trust me. No, because it is really a lot of rays coming on our skin. Yeah. So you still need to wear your hat, and you still need to cover yourself, even though it's hot. And you still need to put on a sunblock. You still need to wear sunglasses to block up those rays, right? So to take out. Exposure to radiation. Sometimes you don't think. We have spoken about the phones. There's still unfounded information, but it happens. Okay. We inhale a lot of toxins from the atmosphere, right? And when we talk about the food, not only that, but because our food have more fat and oil and stuff, right? We tend to have problems with like bowel problems and stuff, and develop like things like cancer. There's some cancers that we still don't know what caused them. We're not exposed to a lot of radiation that we know, but maybe we are. Who knows? Okay? So, and of course, we know there's some situations that vaccines can prevent cancers, like taking hepatitis B vaccine, which is given at birth, taking the HPV vaccine, which is given a little older. So we know that there are things. And there's some other hepatitis vaccines that can be given for other forms of hepatitis to prevent malignant development. Right. So we know.
Right. Now there's also on the issue of risks. In cancer, you hear about absolute and relative risks.
That's public health. Absolute risk. It is. You put me on the spot to make me do technical things that I really don't want to do. Relative risk is like that potential for happening, but it's not necessarily going to happen. Okay. Right? Mm-hmm. Absolute risk, yes.
It will.
It's likely to. It's more likely to.
So, for example, when you're dealing with things like hereditary and all of that, we're talking here about absolute risk. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So like in the case of, and since you're on breast cancer, it's probably a good point. We know that if you share a gene, mm-hmm. a thing, like a coating on your cells, right? With your mother, your sister, or your sisters, your mother's sisters, your father's sisters. You understand? A gene that puts you at risk. A gene that says, hey, there's a possibility. The truth is, you may not get it, right? Mm-hmm. But you may not get cancer, but you run a much higher risk if you share the gene than if you don't. Okay? We know, for example, that men who have had prostate cancer, that their sons are likely, or maybe their brothers will also have prostate cancer. So that those risks are excellent. Okay? Right. And we know that you may not have cancer if you maintain diet and control stress, because that's one of the things we forget, that stress is one of the factors that can make your body start behaving like it has no sense.
Right.
And can cause the development of cancer.
Okay. So Doc, I am let's say 25 years old. I'm young, healthy, full of vibes, as the people say. And I'm concerned about my health because I want to live long. I want to do a lot of things, a lot of things I want to do. And so I decided, you know what, let me move early. Let me go to a doctor and talk to my family practitioner about my health. And as it relates to cancer, what kind of questions should I be asking my doctor?
You mean you, boy?
Yeah. Or I mean, it doesn't matter.
You, okay, let's go you, boy.
Yeah.
You, boy. Because I think sometimes we forget. Cancer. Can I get cancer?
Right.
Okay. What kind of cancer am I at risk for getting? And the doctor will ask you, what did your father have? What did your grandfather have? You understand? Yes, you can get cancer. Can you get breast cancer? Yes. The risk is very, very small, but you can. Lung cancer, are you smoking? Quite likely. Okay, because it causes those changes in your lung. We all know that. And to remind people that tobacco kills 50% of its friends, okay? Anybody who hang on to tobacco, it ought to kill 50% of us. Right? And for many reasons, more than just cancer. Because there are lots of things that tobacco does more than cancer, right? And it has to happen with the, it has toxins, it has things that are put into the tobacco. And we're talking cigarettes in particular, okay? So the things that are put into it, so it tastes nice, so it burns slowly, and all the rest of it, right? But those myriad, hundreds of of chemicals are toxic to your body. So the nicotine alone makes your blood vessels small. So it means you're not getting proper oxygenation. So it's going to behave like fools, okay? Your cells going to get a little confused and do all kind of crazy thing. But then the toxins themselves are poisonous and can cause cancer. So you see, so you ask, do you smoke? Do you drink? You look at his weight, how is your diet? Are you eating healthily? Are you going to the bathroom daily? Are you exercising? Are you practicing, meditation, mindfulness, all those kind of stuff? So 25 is a very good year. And I think first thing I'll tell this 25-year-old man, you're on the right track. And remind people that when you pull the screen, you start looking for things, you take a good look and make sure it's not there. One of the things that young men have, although not a lot in the population that look like me and you, right? A little more frequently in white men, young male population, is that of cancer of the testes, okay? Of what we call the balls, okay? That happens a lot. So ask him about testing, checking for it. Do you feel a little hard node or something there? So those are the things. And I know we still have to consider that there are some cancers that are more prevalent, that happen more frequently than others. So we want to make sure that we don't go talking about glioblastomas of the brain, right? When in truth and in fact, we have breast and lung and prostate and colon right there, and testicle in the case of a young man.
Right. So I've had the conversation with my doctor, and he has explained it to me. And he has explained, look, based on my history and a couple of little things, I am still concerned. And so I want to know how I can lower that risk.
So you want to lower that risk, and this is good because this is how I want us to look at this tonight. Lifestyle changes, first of all. Okay, so becoming aware, educating oneself, because education is basically seeking information and applying that information to your life. Okay. Are you going to go and read about glioblastoma? Well, maybe not unless you're having headaches and visual problems, right? But what I'm saying, you go and see what is this breast cancer I'm hearing about? What is this lung cancer I'm hearing about? What is this? What is high blood pressure? This diabetes? Whatever it is. Because even if you're going to see this man and he's really concerned about getting cancer because his father has cancer, right? You also want to make sure that his other things, you do integrative care. Your blood pressure, your blood sugar. Those are the things you want to make sure that he's aware that he has to be a whole being, a whole well-being, right? And I'm glad you say men, because our males tend to not take that on. Males go to the doctor when lack was standing outside with a granny waiting to figure out which house he should go to. We're not that proactive. And we have to get ourselves to that place. We have to support our men. And our men have to support our women. And our parents, we have to support our parents. And our parents support us. And friends support each other. Because we're going to have to do this over in Grenada collaboratively. So while we're over here, we think things good. We really actually belong to over there. And we're going to have to come together and figure out how we're going to support each other to do things. And then you're going to tell your 25-year-old self, look, you need to talk to your friends about all of this, right? About how we're going to change how we eat, right? How we're going to change how much beers we drink. Instead of drinking a case of beer each and every weekend, we can have 2 beers, but we don't have to empty, you can't empty breweries. You cannot, if you drink as much as you want, you can't empty. The rivers still run, and they can still make more beer. So we have to tell people about how you're going to change your lifestyle, how you're going to contain what you drink. How are you going to avoid tobacco? Because tobacco, by all means, has to go. Tobacco is a no-no. Tobacco does not need to be in our lives at all. Your diet, eating a more homegrown meals, cutting on the meat we consume, avoiding those things that come in pretty color boxes, the fried foods and stuff. And a particularly cutting on the fried foods. Because we've seen the outcome now. We've seen our younger people having heart attacks. We've seen our younger people having strokes. We see our younger people having diabetes, and we see our younger people having cancers. And a lot of it is related to the lifestyle. That lifestyle that happened when we became a little less poor. Yep. And thought that we needed to have all those things that people with money do. But people with money buy it once in a while. They have a little more sense, and they buy it once in a while. We think we need to have it every day. No, we don't. Right. And I'm not telling people don't eat a pretty color box. I'm saying you don't have to support them every day. No.
Right. Okay. So Doc,
because it's not that good.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions, but let's take a quick break and we're going to come back. So stay with us, folks. We'll be back with you in just a moment, and of course we'll be engaging you just now for questions and other contributions you may want to make. So we take a break and we come right back.
Stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Here is a little known fact. There is only one place in Grenada that you can get an MRI scan done. That place is Spicile Imaging Center. Yes, Grenada, that's the truth. Other centers could offer you other scans, but Spicile Imaging provides an authentic MRI scan. Here's another little known fact. Spicile Imaging has 3 centers. We operate at Grenville, the Carnage, and at the Ocean House, Grandlands. We provide the widest range of laboratory tests and services: CT scans, x-rays, mammograms, ultrasounds, and a host of other services. We are fully staffed by a team of family doctors and specialists. Call us today at 444-7679 or 406-1500, or visit any of our 3 locations. Spice Cell Imaging, from seeing the doctor to getting lab tests, scans, and pharmacy services. We are here to take care of you.
If there was ever a time to keep and stay healthy, it's now! We at Hills and Valley are here to help you take deliberate steps to maintain your health. We stayed true to maintaining the most comprehensive rates while stocking the widest range of medicines and health devices, including personal protective equipment. There are so many benefits shopping with us. You get great savings through discounts for senior citizens and reward cards for loyal customers. Ask about owning yours today. Visit us at Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George, Jubilee Street opposite the Grenville Bus Terminal, and at Hillsborough, Carriacou. Our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street also stocks the widest range of pharmaceuticals. We are with you on the hills and in the valleys. We are Hills and Valley Pharmacy.
When you need your prescription filled or you require non-prescribed medication, supplements, or all your personal needs, visit Gittins Healthcare at locations on Wall Street, Grand Anse, Victoria Street, Grenville, and Central Deputy Street, Wharf. Gittins Healthcare aims to provide an exceptional personalized pharmacy experience. Additionally, children under 5 and adults 55 years and over will enjoy 10% discount on purchases of $20 and over on prescription medication. Stop settling for less. Visit Gittins Healthcare, where your health is our priority.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family, yes we do, at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Doctor and Call, and we're looking at cancer risks and, of course, the importance of screening. And Doc, before the break, we were talking about the 25-year-old, who checked himself and want to make sure that he's all right. And of course, he after talking to the doctor, he realized that there's some changes that he needs to make, some adjustments that he needs to make, but he does have within his family line that chance of getting it. And so he's asking the doctor, so if I make these changes, I change my lifestyle, I change my eating habits, and so on, what are my chances or what are my risk of, let's say, developing cancer within the next 5 years, or for that matter, let's say the next 10 to 20 years?
For evidence that once you change, right, your risks for developing a disease should go down.
Right.
But it's more than that. Remember, we talked about early diagnosis. Once you at risk, there's always a possibility if your risk is nurtured. If you pet and powder it and do all the things that it doesn't need, okay, to have been gone. Mm-hmm. So in other words, if you're at risk for prostate cancer, let's say if he's at risk for testicular cancer, he's probably at risk, right? But he wants to make sure that if a testicular cancer appears, he can figure it out very early. Let's say his other brothers or his uncle had testicular cancer, right? he'd want to make sure. Prostate, in the case of men, which is our number one cause of, which is the number one cancer among men in Grenada, certainly prostate, and it's growing, right? But it's also the number one cause of death by cancer among all men. So we want to get to the point where, yeah, our men have cancer, and that's the number one, and we probably have seen some more, right? But they're not dying.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one thing about developing a disease. The other things about getting, of it being your cause of death. And that is related to the fact that you go looking for it early if you know there's added risk, okay? Like I tell you, your father have cancer, there's that absolute risk that you will get it, okay? We know that much.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to encourage that young man to do what he did today regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from changing his lifestyle, do what you did today regularly. And there are blood tests and stuff that you can do to figure out whether you have what we call cancer markers in your body. These substances that your body will produce if a certain cancer or others go there, right? So if he's at high risk, you want to make sure. It's just like if he was at high risk for some heart problems, there are genetic problems, you want to go genetic testing, which is necessary now, but you're going to want to look and check him and be checking him very regularly if he's at that kind of risk. So encouraging him to stay well is one, but encourage him also to look for any signs of the raising of the head of the crab is another.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want to tell him. Yes, live your life. Be active, lose weight, get to gym, eat well, but let's make sure that this thing really still doesn't come on. And if it comes on, we cannot chop off its head.
Okay, wonderful. But what if, let's say, after a little while, maybe something he didn't realize, and then there's, let's say, a new risk factor. Let's say a second cousin. He learns that a second cousin has cancer. And then that concern comes back. Well, it's probably in the family, although it's a second cousin. So he goes back, Doc, I just learned that a second cousin of mine has cancer.
I want to screen your patients. Remember that some cancers tend to occur within certain age groups. We talked about age in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because from here, I think we can segue into the whole breast thing. We talk about age in the beginning. So if my 27-year-old comes asking me about prostate cancer, if my 27-year-old comes talking about prostate cancer, you'd want to say it's kind of unlikely, highly unlikely, okay, at that age. There are ways to follow prostate cancer, there are ways to look for it, right? But you have to know to apply what are his risk factors to the thing. And sometimes someone will say, boy, 25 years, come up in front of me. Oh boy, you're still young, you should be all right. But if a patient comes with a genuine concern, we have to, sit and explain to him why he shouldn't be concerned, and here is what we think, and let's look if you really think. You don't need to engage somebody. Well, a person who has very low risk or no risk sometimes doesn't need to be exposed to especially severe interventions.
Okay.
If a person is very concerned because they're seeing symptoms, we shouldn't close our eyes. It may be something else, but it may be that. So the truth is, if a person is diligent enough to seek care, we have to find ways and apply our knowledge to ensure that we quell that anxiety that may arise in that person.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
So I want to move, and I want us to talk about, we were talking about everything, and if we go back to women, right, and breast cancer. So breast cancer is actually the number one cause of death by cancer in Grenada, right? If a woman is going to die from cancer, she's likely to have had breast cancer. That place over there where you really don't look, right? We don't live there yet. It's just a little space where you have some people, that die. Hear me. Every woman, just because you're a woman, is at risk. Just because you're a woman, you're at risk, right, of developing breast cancer because you have breast. It's as simple as that. You have a lot of breast tissue, okay? There's certain ways that the hormones affect your breast, etc., and what happens, and it grows, and you get breast cancer. Okay? What are our risk factors? Being female, okay? Being a female between 45 and 55. And that's what's in the books, right? But we know we're seeing younger women, and maybe it's because of those other things, the nutrition, the lifestyle, what we're eating, you know, all of the artificial foods, because we eat a lot. You know, we cuss every day about pasta. What the hell is pasta? Right? Pasta is just flour that look pretty. And it tastes nice, depends on who cook it and how it's cooked, right? And it's easy and it's convenient. But that's a lot of flour, a lot of processed wheat, right? With very little nutrition, right? That enhances obesity, right? And often what we eat it with is cheese and oil and sauces and stuff. That makes us put on weight. Easy to cook food, yes it is. But yam easy to cook too. And banana easy to cook too. Do you understand? We have grown to a point where we think we shouldn't eat that, but that's another forum, okay? Now, so we see in younger women, but we also see older women. What happens is that the majority of people, women who develop breast cancer, are within the ages of 45 to 55. But like I say, I know of people in their 30s, people in their late 20s. Okay, it can happen. That is the aberration. That is the end of the, the curve, the extreme parts of the curve, right? So 45 to 55. Have you had breast cancer before? You're at risk for having breast cancer again. Okay. Did you start seeing your periods very early? Or did you reach your menopause much later in life? You're at greater risk. When you did you have, for example, some women have hysterectomy, they have their uterus removed, and because of the symptoms, especially like in the 80s and probably early 90s and 70s, 80s, early 90s, when we would do what we call radical hysterectomy, where you remove the woman's uterus and just took out the ovaries so the ovaries don't get a chance to build up cancer, okay? And what we did, we gave the women hormone replacement therapy because they came out of surgery and they were having hot flashes. They didn't get a chance for the ovaries to stop working, gently, and to have a menopause that might be tolerable. Even when your ovaries stop working gently, some women have a very hard time. Try to imagine when they just cut off your 2 ovaries and there's nothing to regulate your body temperature. There's nothing to regulate your moods, right? The anxiety, the things that the ovaries do that keep you in touch, right? Keep you more or less balanced, disappears. So they would give women hormone replacement therapy, but they realized that these women are coming down with breast cancer. Okay? Women who have not had children or have not breastfed children are at increased risk. So you may not have had any children, that's one. But you may have children and choose not to breastfeed. I don't understand why, because it's the cheapest thing in town to keep your child healthy. And there are women we understand who can breastfeed, but most women are able to breastfeed, okay? And the babies thrive better. Like I said, World Health Organization said we're supposed to breastfeed our children for 2 years. First 6 months exclusively. The other 2 years between, supplementary foods. Women who have not breastfed, who have not had children, right? And women who smoke and drink. Women who smoke. We talked about cancer already and smoking. And I can tell you, I've seen a trend of smoking among our women increasingly, and the statistics from the Drug Control Agency shows us that women are smoking tobacco again, like we used to do in the 60s and 70s. It's fanciful. You got with your friends and your finger with your thing. You might as well put a piece of pea stick like I see people used to do and chew it. Right? You look fancy too, but guess what? You don't have to smoke. All right? Alcohol. We consume too much alcohol. Or young women drink a lot of hard liquor. Yep. And we know that is a risk factor for cancer appearing in younger women. And of course, obesity and overweight, among the other factors. I don't know if I left off any. So those are things we need to know. If you have a family history as well, okay? If you have a first-degree family, like your mother your sisters, your mother's sisters, your father's sisters, we talked about earlier, if they have had breast cancer, you're probably likely. And even if you don't have the gene and they have it, there's an increase. If you have the gene, your absolute risk increases even more.
Right.
Right. So those are the factors that make us. Guess what? Some people who have breast cancer don't have those factors, but it comes. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
There are other things. We might be exposed to radiation that we don't know about. Maybe they discovered in the women in Boston who worked in housekeeping and stuff, where they use a lot of chemicals. Use a lot of chemicals to make it happen quick and look good. They discovered there was an increased risk of cancer, breast cancer, among those women. Okay, so it probably means that we have to screen our janitorial staff a little more.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, or just us who have access to all kind of chemicals to clean our homes, right? So that's an added factor, right? So, and of course, people who are just sedentary, whether or not you're obese, you're not very active, you're at greater risk. And we talk about a diet that was high in fat and stuff that put you at even greater risk, right? I can't think of anything else currently, but those are factors. But like I say, you may not know. Here's what advantage we have. The advantage that we have the knowledge, that's the first place to start.
Yes,
knowledge is
indeed.
Power.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge is power. And almost everybody in Grenada has a physician or access to a physician. You can walk into a health center and say, I'm concerned, I'm 25, I'm 35, I'm 45, I'm 52, I'm 60, I don't care. And I want to make sure that I don't have, I want to make sure that I don't have breast cancer. I want to make sure I don't die from breast cancer, because it's not a pretty thing, you know that. And get screened. The Cancer Society does screening. Planned Parenthood does screening. Clinics do screening. What does screening? Screening means looking and touching, looking, examining yourself. One of the most powerful tools I think we have in the third world, where we don't have sophisticated mechanisms, is the fact that we teach our women how to become accustomed to understanding what their breast is all about. Mm-hmm. We tend not to touch our breast, you know that, right? But we allow men to touch our breast, so men also need to learn how to examine their wife's breast or their girlfriend's breast, because most lumps are discovered by male partners. By partners, let me not genderize it, I'm sorry. Right? Most lumps in women's breasts are actually discovered by their partners. So there's something that your husband or whoever your partner is knows or does, right? That heightens their ability to figure out what's going on. So maybe we need to teach both men and women how to do breast examination. Mm-hmm. But women must also take it into as part of their responsibility to examine themselves on a regular basis. Except that the kind of women don't touch their own breasts. They have to be kind of liberal to do that, because you kind of still sexualize breasts for breastfeeding or your partner to fondle. And I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying you also have a responsibility to ensure that your breast health.
Understand? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You look. What do you look for? Every so often, like every 6 weeks. And often, most likely, in that part of your cycle, you're still having periods. If the period starts at day 1, day 10 to 18, very little hormonal activity goes on. What do? Then you look. You take a nice shower. You stand in front of the mirror where there's light. You lift your hand. You look at the skin. Is there any dimpling? Is there any sore? Is there anything? Does your breast look a little different from what it looked like the last time you looked at it? Is it a little swollen? Do you see a vivid mass growing under your breast? Right? You look around. When you lift your arms, do both nipples go up at the same time? Okay? Or does one breast lag behind? Mm-hmm. Right? Is there any redness? Is there a sore on my breast? Do I have any secretions coming out of my nipples? Those are the things you can do on your own in the privacy of your home. And then you lie down and you take your fingers and I'd send some slides. I wish we could have put them up.
We just about getting that done now. Putting the slides up so people can actually see.
Right. So then you lie and you extend your arms so that the breast kind of flattens. And some of us have big boobs. That's okay. Right? The more you do it, the more you get accustomed to your boob. You do a little piece. Take your time. Take 10 minutes and do that. That's your business. That's your time. And learn. Look for that lump that is hard, that feel like you feel like a damsel, you just feel hard, like a piece of little gravel. Like a little piece of red gravel you get from gravel and concrete. That's what it feel like. It's just there, and it's miserable, and it don't move, and it pull everything with it and make dimples on your skin. That is the bad boy that you're going to have to fight, that you need to find early to make sure that he's just there, even if he's tiny, to make sure, oh, where you come from, let me deal with you. Find your doctor, find your nurse, and go ahead and get examined properly. And then what we do an ultrasound or mammogram to figure out if there's anything. If there's anything that looks suspicious, you'll have a biopsy. What's a biopsy? A biopsy is basically putting a needle in there, usually guided by ultrasound, because the ultrasound says this is exactly where it is. Right? So you anesthetize, you deaden the area around, you push the needle in, a specialized kind of needle, not an ordinary needle, okay? It's a special needle that you can put in there and haul up some of the tissue, but you try and get into the middle of this, whatever that thing is that is shown on your ultrasound, and then they take that to the lab. Somebody who's trained specially to look at it, looks at it when they make very, very thin slides and see whether there's any distortion, any change in the cells, right? Away from what breast cells should look like.
Okay, wonderful.
Some cancers are not easily diagnosed, because I can think of 2 people now who have really gone ahead and persisted and looked and still ended up having cancer in a time when they didn't want, because they felt and nothing could be found. Okay, and they've been women who have gone, but don't give up. Okay, because the doctor said nothing is wrong. If you still have that thing, seek again, or at least make sure every year or every 6 months you get checked out, right? So when you go and when you find, God forbid, you find a womb, because you want to find it, you want to say, hey, I'm here to deal with you. What happens? Women, sometimes you tend to forget that people need support, because that's a big thing to carry. So don't be afraid to find someone to share it with. Seek out help, because I think that is the best way to have the greatest success possible. Seek help from somebody, your sister, your doctor. Ask them, where can you get some counseling? There are lots of counselors on the island who will be able to help you. At the Cancer Society, we try also to help people who can, who need support. But because if you do have a lump that is malignant, that means that it's cancerous. You're going to have to remove it. Surgery is the first thing. And when you remove it, there's still other things that need to be done. When we talk about chemotherapy is medication. It can either be by mouth or it can be in your vein. And it has its side effects, because it tries to kill those cells that are growing so quickly. So your hair will drop off for some people. Not everybody's hair drop off, and not every medication makes your hair drop off, right? As we become more scientifically advanced, we have more scientifically advanced medications, the biologics, right? And those medications are founded on the whole immune therapy thing, right? They tend to be more specific. They tend to work well, right? Put people in, but you have to be diagnosed early, right? We have to be diagnosed early in order for us to be successful in whatever treatment interventions we're going to practice, right? So surgery and whatever chemotherapy. And if you're late, if you're in stage 3 or stage 4, then you're going to need radiation therapy. Here's what the problem is. We don't have radiotherapy on island. So it means you have to go to Trinidad or Antigua, foreign, or I don't, Martinique, some people, but people don't speak French, so they don't really go to Martinique. But that's where we go, Trinidad, Antigua. Some people probably go to Barbados, but it's expensive, because think about it. When you go away for therapy, you have to find another house to live in. Some people might have family, right? Some people don't, so you have to find an apartment to rent. You have to take somebody with you. You have to buy food. Whereas here, you better go outside and cut a bunch of hand of fig and boil with some fish. That can happen when you go to foreign. You have to find other food. Okay, so that is why it's so important for us to find all of these little things. Make it crucial for us to find early, right? Why is it? What is going on in my life?
Wonderful. So that we take our final break. When we come back, we'll open our telephone lines. Hopefully, Mr. Dowden can join us to tell us a little bit about the cancer walk that's coming up and about the association as well. And folks, also, we will be sharing with you just now some slides on screen so you can have a good idea, how to check your breast and so for lumps and little things that might be of concern that can give you an indication. All right, so stay with us. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
When a loved one passes on, we all need the comfort, support, and guidance of a trusted friend. You can rely on LaCour Brothers Funeral Home. We provide a personalized professional service that exceeds all expectations. Our dedicated staff responds to your every need with the greatest detail, ensuring affordability with a variety of options. Upgraded state-of-the-art facilities, spacious air-conditioned chapel with live internet streaming, a modern, environmentally safe crematorium, the only of its kind on island, private viewing spaces, large on-site repast center, a modern transportation fleet. Join our burial society today and make personalized arrangements for that final moment. As you prepare to enter your loved one into eternal rest, visit or call LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and Burial Society, continuing a tradition of excellence.
Hubbard's is adapting to the times to enhance your shopping convenience with its new online store. You can now shop for appliances, hardware, houseware, builder's material, and still enjoy free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at www.hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable. Hubbard's. Quality service, affordable prices.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
If there was ever a time to keep and stay healthy, it's now. We at Hills and Valley are here to help you take deliberate steps to maintain your health. We stayed true to maintaining the most comprehensive rates while stocking the widest range of medicines and health devices, including personal protective equipment. There are so many benefits shopping with us. You get great savings through discounts for senior citizens and reward cards for loyal customers. Ask about owning yours today. Visit us at Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George, Jubilee Street opposite the Grenville Bus Terminal, and at Hillsborough, Carriacou. Our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street also stocks the widest range of pharmaceuticals. We are with you on the hills and in the valleys. We are Hills and Valley Pharmacy.
Here is a little known fact. There is only one place in Grenada that you can get an MRI scan done. That place is Speyside Imaging Center. Yes, Grenada, that's the truth. Other centers could offer you other scans, but Speyside Imaging provides an authentic MRI scan. Here's another little known fact. Speyside Imaging has 3 centers. We operate at Grenville, the Carnage, and at the Ocean House, Grandlands. We provide the widest range of laboratory tests and services. CT scans, x-rays, mammograms, ultrasounds, and a host of other services. We are fully staffed by a team of family doctors and specialists. Call us today at 444-7679 or 406-1500 or visit any of our 3 locations. Speyside Imaging, from seeing the doctor to getting lab tests, scans, and pharmacy services. We are here to take care of you.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Doctor and Call, and we did promise you that we would be joined by Mr. Ali Dowden of the Cancer Society. He is with us, and so let's welcome him. Ali, good evening and welcome. It's a pleasure to have you.
Good evening, Godfrey, and good evening to the listeners and viewers of your program. Thank you for having me on your program this evening.
Yes, indeed. We are. I'm getting a feedback. I'm not sure. Do you have a device open? I'm getting a feedback. Okay. All right. Are we okay now? All right. There seems to be a feedback somewhere. Ali, do you have another device open? Are you?
No, it's only my mic. It's on. Yon and Doc mic is on as well.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what's happening, but we're gonna make it work either way. All right. So we are looking at breast cancer awareness, and there's usually a walk. It's been happening for a while. I know there were some challenges with COVID-19 and everything like that. It's back. Ali, can you tell us a little bit about that and when it's going to be happening and some information surrounding that?
Okay, sure. So for the past decade or so, we've been a generous recipient of the First Caribbean Bank Walk for the Cure. However, as you may be aware, due to the pending purchase of that bank, that walk is no longer taking place in Grenada. So, of course, the Cancer Society had to find other partners, at least, to be able to successfully host the walk this year. And so we reached out, and of course we got the GRA, which is the Grenada Relatives Association, on board. And so they're the ones really is the main sponsor of the walk, of course. So it's a joint walk between the Grenada Relatives Association and the Grenada Cancer Society. And of course we were able to get other sponsors involved, such as Deco Industries, J&J Printers, Fast Cash, K Transition Clinic, and of course different member organizations within the GRA. The walk is scheduled to take place on October 30th.
Right.
So that's the last Sunday in this month. What would happen is that at 11 a.m. at Monrouge Playing Field, we will be having a health fair with the partnership of K Transition Clinic. They're partnering with us to put on a health fair. So we'll be doing screening. We'll be doing things like BMI, blood sugar testing, etc. And then, of course, at 4 p.m. we will commence the walk from Monrouge Playing Field to Tantine by the Old Trafford area. We are going to have shuttles that are going to take people down to the walk. The shuttle service will start in Tantine by the Old Trafford around 3 p.m. Right? King Elvis is on board. We are awaiting word from St. George's University. So we're trying to have both on board so people can park their vehicles and they can be shuttled down to the walk. So of course, when they walk from Monrouge to Tantine, then they're free to take their vehicles. We do have t-shirts on sale at our office and also at K Transition Clinic. T-shirts are being sold at 30 EC. We have them both in pink as well as in white. So we're encouraging the public to come out on Sunday, October 30th. Come to the health fair. be screened, get information, then join the walk at 4 and be a part of this walk. Support us. If for some reason, I know t-shirts right now are limited, because the truth is we have had a great response in terms of people asking for t-shirts and purchasing. So we're almost out of t-shirts, but of course on that day, if people want to give a donation, they're still free to do so, right, towards the cause. So we're trying to market it. We're looking forward to it. We're going to have a sound system on the route, so that would help keep people energized. We have had sponsorship as well from the Grenada Bottling Company. They're providing water. So throughout the walk, during different parts on the route, we'll be handing out water for people so that they can keep hydrated. So the walk, we're looking forward to the walk, and we do hope that it will turn out to be a great success this year.
Right, wonderful. Dr. Nixon, I know you also part of the Cancer Society. Let me just ask this. The work of the Cancer Society. What do you do, really?
So the basic responsibility of the Cancer Society, that's what its objectives are. 1, education, information, spreading knowledge, going out and telling people, and 2, screening for disease.
Right.
We do offer some support in relation to counseling and stuff, mostly. Sometimes people ask for other forms of support, but our fundamental responsibility is to ensure that people have cancer knowledge. Currently, we're actually working, there's a project that is coming out of SGU PAHO to build up an electronic platform for information, but that's in its almost pilot stage, where people can actually go on through the Cancer Society and get information on cancer. It's going to be a big Caribbean project, but Grenada and I think St. Lucia are part of the pilot. It actually originated from the SGU people. So right. People will be able to ask questions. And often people have a lot of questions. There'll be ways to get your questions asked down the road live. You might be able to talk to somebody online. But as time goes by and we have more and more people. But it should be a place where you could go on and say, how do I screen? How do I do a breast examination? Look at videos that are on. But that is within the next year should be up. Okay. It's not too late. The truth is, Grenada still needs to have a comprehensive cancer plan. When you consider these are diseases that are going to kill 10% of our population still. We need to have a bigger plan, a plan that engenders education on a national level, from a ministerial standpoint, from a governmental, a leadership, a properly funded, sustainable project that helps with education, that people get knowledge. How do we live without cancer? How do we prevent the things we were talking about in the beginning? What do I eat? What do I eat? So where cancer becomes and is one of the chronic diseases, because that's what it will become if you are going to be able to get rid of it, as it's, people just live eventually. But where cancer is given its special space, so that we figure out what is our problem, how do we prevent our problem, how do we look for it, and then how are we going to solve it, right? How are we going to support, let's say breast cancer, for example. How do we support a mother who has young children, who might be a single mother, right? Or her husband might just be not apt, right? Who doesn't have family. Let's say she's a foreigner living here, okay? With her children. How do we support her? And she needs to go to the bank to clean her house after surgery. If you've had a breast removal, you can't be moving your hand up and down to clean her house, to get her children's laundry done, to cook a meal. What if she lives alone? What if she's very, very ill and at home and needs some soup? How do we prepare that kind of social supportive environment? Those are the things. How do we ensure that people have surgery, have the proper surgery, have the proper chemotherapy, have access to the therapy that is required after they're diagnosed? How do they reintegrate into work if that's possible? If I were a janitor at Spice Isle Hotel, I have cancer, I go home, I go back to work. I'd like to go back to work, but maybe I can't be the lady who is sweeping and mopping and scrubbing anymore because I have a big scar, right? How do I reintegrate? How do the people around me understand what education is given to them in the work environment? And then if I get very ill, what palliative, what support as for medication, what's there to make me comfortable? My pain medications, my comfort in my bed. I don't get bed sores before I die, that I can be fed until the moment. Because death will become people who are very terminally ill, who are very, very ill. It will happen. That's just our reality. But it must happen in a dignified and empathetic way, right? And people must have access. We don't have, in Grenada, despite the fact that 10% of us are going to die annually of the deaths are going to be from cancer and diseases that are so. We don't have a hospice situation where I can say, okay, a person might have a month or 2 weeks to live. Let's put them in there so they can have proper nursing care and they can transition where they get some spiritual guidance and stuff. They're home with families who don't know how to do this. Families who don't have the ability. Families who probably have to go out and work, so they rest all the food for you in there, and you can't probably too tired to stretch your hand to get it because there's so much injury on that area. So you don't eat, you get dehydrated, whatever happens, you might want to use the bathroom, there's somewhere to help you because the person in the house have to go out and work.
So, but you mentioned also, one of the key functions of the society is to educate, to inform, to get people aware. Do you have any programs, let's say for example, outreach programs in the communities? So let's say you might move to a village in St. Patrick where you can talk to people about cancer. Maybe have a look at their surroundings, look and see whether the surroundings are best,
risky.
Yes, and things like that. Are there any plans? Are there anything in place for?
So one of the things we own, the Cancer Society owns a screening unit, and that screening unit should be a screening education unit. So it's a little truck with a thing behind, like when you carry horses, the thing that you articulate on the front truck. But it's a little clinical room. So it's a little front office, and then it has a bed, an examination bed. It has privacy, and it's air conditioned for you to work in. So you can sit in there, do physical examinations. If you have to do pap smears, they can be done in there. If you have to do a prostate exam, in privacy, perfect privacy. So we have that. What should go with that is education, and that's something else we have it as part of our plans, right? We were kind of mad by COVID, no face meeting, and a lot of stuff didn't happen. But that is going to come up, right? Where when you come, you set up a system. You have your place for people to sit. You have whatever AV equipment you need. You have slides. You have videos. Whatever you need is available to be able to share with the population. That is where we're going.
Okay.
But the society can't do that alone because there's nothing. Because cancer is immense as a disease, okay? There's nothing that we can do alone. We have a lot of resources, a lot of human resources that don't necessarily fall within our volunteers thing, and we do need a whole lot more volunteers. And so this is part of a plea for you to come. You probably don't need to be able to teach about how to do exactly. But you can come and be a part of the Cancer Society.
That's interesting, Doc. And let me just engage Ali here a bit. You mentioned that on the day of the walk from 11 o'clock, there's also going to be a health fair. That's before the walk. Are there plans for, let's say, additional health fair throughout the year? And I'm asking that because I also believe by doing that, you can also reach people and engage them in being volunteers with the society.
So yes, it's not the first health fair that we have put on, to be quite honest. Of course, we're putting on this one because it's the day of the walk, and we believe it's all a part of our activities to raise awareness during this Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And of course, we believe we're going to have a lot of people come into the walk. So if they come early, then we can screen, give them education, because we do have these pamphlets and so forth that we'll be giving out. Of course, with the nurses and the doctors there, they are going to be not just only screening, but also use it as an educational moment to teach our women how to, look for these signs and so forth with their breasts, like what Doc would have explained earlier on in the program. So it's twofold. And then, of course, we walk for the cause. Going forward, we will continue as it relates to our outreach and screening. At present, our unit is sent to the garage so that we can do some upgrades, but ever so often these things have to happen. And of course, funding is always a challenge, so we welcome corporate citizens on board to help fund these initiatives, because of course when we have to go out in the communities, we have to find doctors, we have to find nurses. It comes at a cost. We have to put fuel into the vehicle. Of course, we are grateful by the donation of Republic Bank Grenada. They gave us this unit back in 2019, and so far we have put it into good use. And we will be continuing these programs for the upcoming year, because that's one of our big focus. Our team for the next couple months is actually education for life, for health and life. And of course, the team for the walk we're using is United Against Breast Cancer. So they all tie into one. And we're looking forward for a bumper year in 2023, whereby we can raise awareness on all cancers, and of course bring to the forefront as well the existence of the Cancer Society and what we do, and look for volunteers who may have the skill set that can help strengthen the programs that we run, as well as volunteers who may not have the skill set, but they have the passion and they can help assist in other ways.
Okay.
And that's a very good point, because actually I met a lady today who came to my office for other things, and she showed me one of the slides that I gave to you, that I sent for you, Godfrey.
Yes. So
I actually sent up that slide earlier in the month. I posted it, and I'm seeing somebody from way out of another parish tell me she got it from a granddaughter from school. So if we put the information out there, it gets around. Social media is great. She had it on her Facebook page. She got it from her 12-year-old granddaughter. Okay?
Lovely.
Who's in high school, who's already, enlightening young women that here are your risks, here are your chances. The truth is, we have to have partners at all levels, not only people who have knowledge. You need people like her, because she has a shop, right? She has a shop. And I said to her, would you spread the pamphlets and talk? She said, of course. So I gave her pamphlets. But that's in the country. That's probably 25 women that she's going to empower. All I'm going to ask women, that when you get knowledge, share it with your girlfriends, instead of talking about the weave and the fingernail and the stuff and the eyelash and thing. You can talk about that, but talk about it in the context of how can I live longer? What do I need to do to not only look good, but also to be in a good state of health, right? And eradicating those things. Because if you look pretty, I like women who look nice. I like that our women take pride in how their body looks, but we also need to take pride in how our body be. How it is, right? Whether or not I'm healthy. That's very, very important. In relation to volunteerism, we know that this is a problem. Globally, all organizations that wait on volunteers will tell you that it's been a problem. COVID has almost obliterated, right, the actions of a lot of organizations. So we have to come back. Maybe we need younger people. Maybe because, the older people are not interacting as much, right? Maybe we need to get other people impassioned enough to want to be a part of whatever this is. We need younger people to help us to look at this differently from our older ways. They're the ones who run social media. They're the ones who would make sure that the information keeps circling, right? They're the ones who would get information that we don't even know where to find it, right? So we need to figure out who. We also need partners in a community like that lady today, because she's going to speak to women who are at great risk but don't know that they're at risk, right? That is very important, that she can speak to women who are at risk, who don't recognize that they too are part of this whole big risk thing. Because we still talk about those people in Grenada, when in truth and in fact, this is all of our problem.
Right. Thank you much. Well, I mean, we're almost out of time, actually. We're almost out of time. But, Doc, before I ask you to say your final words, let me just go back to Ali. Ali, just sort of give us a little reminder on the walk, when it's happening, and what we can expect on that day.
Okay, Godfrey. So, just to remind persons that the theme for this year's walk is United Against Breast Cancer. This walk will be held on the 30th of October, starting at 4 p.m. The walk will take place from Monrouge Plainfield to Old Trafford at Tantine. Of course, at 3 p.m. we have shuttles that are going to be taking people down so they can park, leave their vehicles in Tantine, and the shuttles will take them down to Monrouge. During the walk, when the walk starts at 4, we'll be handing out water to keep people hydrated along the route. We do have a sound system that, of course, we're going to be using to help educate people throughout the walk. They need to be screened. Earlier on that same day, starting at 11 o'clock, K-Transition has partnered with the Grenada Cancer Society and will be putting on a health fair. They will be having a team of doctors and nurses on board. They'll be doing breast examinations and other health checks. For example, your BMI, your blood pressure. They're going to be doing vision checks as well, testing for sugar, etc. So we do have a whole program planned for the whole day, at least starting from 11, that deals with health and education, and then of course in the evening at 4 p.m. the walk begin. We do have t-shirts on sale. You can contact any member of the Grenada Cancer Society or reach out to our office. Our office number is 435-9869. I'll repeat, 435-9869, and our t-shirts are only $30. We do have 2 colors. We have pink t-shirts and we also have white t-shirts.
Right. And where is the office located?
What if I don't have a t-shirt?
Oh yes, that's a brilliant question, because the truth is we do have limited t-shirts. If for some reason you were unable to get a t-shirt, we still want you to attend the walk for the cause, and we encourage you on that day, if you can always make a donation for the cause, because the $30 for the t-shirt is not just for the t-shirt, but it's actually a donation that you're making towards the cause and the work of the Grenada Cancer Society. So whether you don't have a t-shirt, you're free to attend on that day.
So the walk is really about raising awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
Yes.
Right, and solidarity with the people who have already been affected by breast cancer.
Absolutely correct. So we're looking forward to survivors, friends, families of survivors, even current patients, but the entire public.
Okay, wonderful indeed. Where's your office located?
So our office is located on Granatan Road. That's right up at Knox House, next to the Presbyterian Church. Dr. Noel, the bone specialist, office is to the front, and our office is to the back of his.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, that's close to where that traffic light used to be there.
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
Top of Canash Hill, heading to the hospital.
Right. Well, Ali Dowden, I thank you very much for coming on and sharing with us the information about the walk. Folks, don't forget it's on the 30th of this month. Health fair at 11. The walk begins at 4 o'clock. T-shirt or no T-shirt, we walk in. All right, we're raising awareness. But if you don't have a T-shirt, walk with a little something. As they say, they like those that jingle, but they would prefer those that folds. So walk with a little something to give a donation. Because I'll tell you something, it's very important. Sometimes we don't understand the importance, but a lot of times when we find ourselves, God forbid, and we find ourselves in similar situations, then we get to really realize how important the work of organizations like the Cancer Society is. So whatever you can donate, please donate, because you just might be donating to help a family member. You just
or yourself.
never know. Or yourself, definitely. So, Doc, any closing remarks before we wrap for this evening? Anything you want to say in closing?
So breast cancer is real. It's a challenge for all our women in Grenada. Now that we reach Grenada, we know that women who are going to die from cancer, again, not that there aren't other cancers, but women, we know that 1 in 10 persons in Grenada who die from cancer. We know that women who die from cancers are likely to have breast cancers. We know what are the risk factors. We know that if you've had breast cancer before, if you're a woman, if you're 40 to 45, if you have never had children or never breastfed, if your period started early and your menopause came late, you had other risks. Those are other 2 risk factors. Whenever you smoke or drink or overweight, eat high-fat foods, very stressed, exposed to radiation, those are the things you're exposed. You know that if in your family there's a history of breast cancer, you're at greater risk. We also know that if you find early, you're likely to not die. Mm-hmm. And that is what we have the most power over. So we're going to empower ourselves to ensure that we go looking. We know that it's easy to learn to examine your breast. So go there, it's free. Your doctor will teach. I teach all my female patients how to examine their breast, and I ask them to show me again because, practice brings perfect. And I'm ready to teach the men how to do breast exams because like we know historically and scientifically, most breast lumps are encountered by partners, right? So let's do this. We know that we are very resource poor as a country. We know that our health system is already burdened with other chronic diseases like hypertension and diabetes and their complications. If we can take stock with this, we know that if our young people understand that they will take stock, like you asked in the case of a 25-year-old male, but also a 25-year-old female needs to know that she needs to prevent diseases that are preventable or encounter diseases that we can control as early as possible. We know that we have surgery and all the rest of it, but we don't have all the medications that may be necessary, and basically that is expensive. We know that our lives are actually affected in very negative ways, not only the person who may become the victim, but also the life of their family, their co-workers, their friends, their spouses in particular, their children, even more in particular, their parents who hate to see their children die or be so ill. We know it's very difficult for all of these people, that everybody needs some social support and emotional support. We also know that we must find ways for easy reintegration, not only into society, but in the workplace when it comes to cancer and breast cancer in particular. A woman who's lost her breast feels a little right? You have to teach our men that the woman without the breast is just like you without your foot. So just how you want to be accepted is the same way, all right? But it is such a sexualized organ that a man does not feel may not feel that his wife is as sexy or sexually acceptable. And I've seen men step into the relationship once a wife lost their breast. So we need to support men and help them to understand what this means. And men also need to support men. And men also, I'm asking to send your wives to get checked. Send your girlfriends, your female friends. This is their time if you want to be with them for a long time. So men also have to be a very good support. And we also know that people can live a very long time. We have survivors for 30 years plus, 35 years on this very island simply because they were diagnosed early. So we want to make sure that everybody who may become a victim of breast cancer can be a survivor and can walk and say, glory, hallelujah, I have conquered this. Right. We also know that sometimes cancers come with a sad end, right? And that we must provide. We have to find a way to provide what we call palliative care of comfort for them, right, at the end of life. And that end of life must not be painful and indignifying, and they must not be abandoned. But we still need to keep them enveloped and give them the love. And that families are going to need more support since we don't have public hospice situation, right? We don't have an area where somebody can go and so their family can get alleviated and they can die quietly and they can die not in pain, right, and agony. So those are things we want to work towards. Maybe the Cancer Society will have another role as we go along, okay? But that's what breast cancer looks like. Breast cancer is real, people, right? And I've heard of a young woman today needing support, right? And I'm going to ask people where it is where you come and somebody needs help, stretch out your hand, and you might be surprised what $10 can do, or $20 for somebody who needs to go and do their blood count, right? The Cancer Society welcomes donations. Write us a check. Become a member. More than anything, we want people to come and be a member. And you don't have to have special skills. You can learn stuff. There's a lot of work to do. So come. It's only $25 a year to be a member of the Cancer Society, which is basically a donation, right? But we want you also, there's a walk on Sunday the 30th, to come out and show I'm a survivor, even if I don't have cancer, because I'm going to survive this, and I'm going to make sure that other women whom I know are survivors.
Right. Doc, thank you so very much. Folks, we continue next week. In fact, we want to look next week at, how you treat with cancer, and delve a little bit more into support, because it's a very, very important part of it. Doc been talking about the palliative care, but, if you're part of a family where someone has cancer and you have to provide support, how's the best way to do it, what kind of support you can provide, and all of that. So we continue next week talking about it. It is something that we cannot stop talking about. All right. So I just want to also encourage you. You heard from both Ali and Dr. Nixon. Be a volunteer. Whatever support you can give, do that. Yeah, because you just never know. So, Ali, thank you very much again for coming, and continue the work that you guys are doing with the society. Dr. Nixon, thank you much, and we'll be back next week to continue our discussion.
Next week is Godfrey?
Yes,
Next week is October 25th.
Yeah. Oh, it's a public holiday. All right. Okay.
So we don't have a program.
We don't have a program next week, but of course
we can still talk about it. So let me just raise here, because we're not going to have next week. There's also a walk that St. Andrew Development Organization does every year, and they're doing theirs on the Saturday in St. Andrew, right? They have a vibrant group of a vibrant support group. They have a vibrant survivor group, and they have their walk on Saturday. That is the day before the St. George's Walk. So people in the north, please support those women in those communities. They do a lot to support the women. St. Andrew's Development Organization. I'm not very sure where it starts, but they have been going to their Facebook page, SADO, SADO, and they will tell you when the walk is. And please be there and support the women in the communities.
All right. Thank you very much.
But I want us to still talk in the next week about that support, because it is important to capitalize this. But the truth is, these are ongoing needs. These are ongoing things that we need to look at them in and out of season to ensure that we reinforce the information and we can garner as much support as is possible.
Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. It was indeed a pleasure. Tomorrow evening we have our released program. Be sure to join us for that. Until then, enjoy the rest of the evening. Do have a good night. All the best.
Godfrey, if people have questions, let them send to you, because sometimes people have questions that are burning. We can always look at it in the beginning of the next program.
Yes, indeed. Definitely so. The Doctor and Call was brought to you with the kind compliments of Antillean Life Insurance.